All right, today we are diving into something really cool, the world of swing trading. But we're looking at it through a whole new lens, where classic chart reading meets the insane power of modern AI. You know that feeling, right? You're staring at a stock chart, you see a pattern, and you get that light bulb moment. You think, this is it. If I just buy now and sell then, this thing is a guaranteed winner. But let's be real. How do you know if you found a golden ticket or if you're about to make a huge mistake without, risking your actual money? Well, that's exactly what we're going to tackle today.
So, before we get to the AI magic, let's just make sure we're on the same page. What even is swing trading?
Put simply, swing trading is all about catching the swings, the ups and downs in a stock's price. Now, this isn't day trading, where you're in and out in a flash. Nope, these trades are a bit more patient, lasting anywhere from a couple of days to a few weeks. The whole idea is to grab a nice, juicy chunk of a price move and then get out. And this really gets to the heart of how swing traders think. They're not usually buried in a company's 100-page financial reports. They live and breathe in the world of technical analysis. The core belief is that everything you need to know, all the fear, the greed, the news, it's all reflected right there in the price chart, creating patterns that just might repeat themselves. So if it's all about reading these charts, what are the classic tools traders use to decipher those signals? Let's pop open the toolkit. At its core, the game plan is beautifully simple. You're trying to spot a low point, a trough, and that's your signal to buy. Then you just ride that wave up and try to sell at the top, at a peak, right before it decides to turn around. It's the age-old buy low, sell high, just on a much faster timeline. So how in the world do you find those peaks and troughs? Well, one of the most fundamental ideas is something called support and resistance. The easiest way to think about them is as invisible floors and ceilings for the price. Support is that floor, a price level where buyers tend to jump in and push the price back up. And resistance? That's the ceiling, where sellers take control and push it back down. And honestly, this quote from a Charles Schwab guide just nails it. It's not magic. It's just about finding these zones where the market's psychology has shifted before with the bet that it might just shift there again. So when you're watching these floors and ceilings, you're basically waiting for one of two things to happen. First is the bounce. The price hits that floor or ceiling and whoop, reverses direction. That's a potential trade. But sometimes the price just smashes right through it. That's a breakout, and it's a huge signal that the trend has some serious power behind it. Okay, this all sounds pretty straightforward, right? You can spot the levels, you know what to look for, but this is where we run into a huge, huge problem. The classic trader's dilemma. I mean, this is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Your interpretation of a chart pattern, that gut feeling, it's still just an idea. It's subjective. So how do you turn that hunch into an actual strategy, something backed by data that you can trust again and again? For the longest time, the answer was you couldn't. Not easily, anyway. It took years of experience, a whole lot of gut feel, and the worst part, you had to test your ideas with your own money, in real time. It was slow, it was expensive, and let's be honest, it was often pretty painful. But that was then. Today, that has all changed. We now have a new superpower, and it's available to literally everyone. Think of it as having your own personal AI coder on call, 24/7. And this is the absolute game changer. You don't have to be a programming wizard to test complicated ideas anymore. You can just describe your rule, something like, I want to buy when the price crosses over this line, in plain English, and an AI can write the actual code to test it for you. It's a massive, massive leap. And get this, the process is ridiculously simple. You find an indicator you like on a platform, you copy its code, and you just feed it to an AI with a simple instruction. The AI rewrites it into a full-on, testable strategy. You paste that new code back into the platform, hit a button, and bam! You can see how your idea would have performed over years and years of data, and it takes just a few seconds. But hey, talk is cheap. Let's actually see this thing in action. We're going to take a couple of really common trading ideas and put them through this exact AI testing process. Let's start with an old-school classic, the 200-day moving average. The logic here is super simple. If the stock's price is above this long-term average, the trend is up, so you buy. If it dips below, the trend is down, so you sell. Makes perfect sense, right? Well, here's where data gives us a serious reality check. After running the backtest, the results are kind of shocking. This chart shows that a staggering 78% of the trades this strategy made actually lost money. Now, the overall strategy might have made a tiny profit, but think about that.
You would have been wrong on almost 4 out of every 5 trades. That's a perfect example of an idea that sounds great in your head, but just falls apart when you look at the numbers.
Okay, so that first idea was a total bust, but that's the whole point of testing. We found that out without risking a penny. So now let's try something a little more advanced. We're going to test an indicator called the super trend. The name alone sounds promising. The idea is that it's a bit smarter and filters out more of the market noise. The strategy is the same. Stay in the market when the line is green, get out when it's red.
And the result? A mind-blowing 2,888% return over the test period. Yeah, you heard that right. That's the power of actually testing your ideas. We just went from a flawed concept to one with some pretty incredible historical performance. And this chart really puts that number into perspective. Look, if you had just bought the index and held on for dear life during that same time, you would have made an amazing 1,054% return. That's fantastic. But our AI-tested strategy, it nearly tripled that. In the trading world, they call that outperformance alpha, and it's the holy grail everyone's looking for. So what's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for the average person who's just curious about the markets? Well, it's nothing short of a revolution. We are fundamentally moving from an era of chart art, which was all about subjective feelings and guesswork, into an era of AI science. Now, anyone, and I mean anyone, can take their ideas and put them through rigorous, objective, data-driven testing. What used to take a team of PhDs years to figure out, you can now do from your couch in a few minutes.
And that's what I really want to leave you with. This technology puts an incredibly powerful tool right into your hands. It changes you from just a spectator into a researcher. So the real question isn't just about what's possible anymore. It's about what you're going to do with it. If you had this superpower, if you could test any trading idea you've ever had risk-free, what's the very first thing you'd test?